mysterious liquid found under the gateway to the underworld in Mexico. Let's deep dive.
When you hear about something ancient and you just feel this pull, this need to understand what it all meant,
Oh, definitely.
that's kind of where we are today. You sent us exploring a truly fascinating place, the Temple of Quetzalcoatl in Teotihuacan, Mexico.
A really significant site, yeah. This feathered serpent pyramid, it was built around, 1800 to 1900 years ago?
Right.
It's such a powerful symbol of Mesoamerican culture, and honestly, it still holds so many unanswered questions.
Exactly. And for this deep dive, you've steered us towards some recent findings beneath this incredible structure that really make you sort of reconsider what we thought we knew. We're talking hidden chambers, actual liquid mercury, these massive sheets of mica. Our goal here is to explore these discoveries and, well, what they might reveal about this ancient civilization.
It's like finding new pieces to a really, really old puzzle.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the feathered serpent pyramid, it's always inspired speculation, hasn't it?
Oh, for sure.
Beyond its, obvious role in ceremonies, there have always been more, unconventional ideas about its purpose floating around over the years.
Right. The kind of theories that sometimes pop up, could it have been some sort of ancient power source? Or even, the ones linking it to extraterrestrial activity. Those definitely grab your attention.
They do, even if they feel a bit out there.
A bit far-fetched, yeah.
But it's that inherent mystery, I think, that makes the discovery back in 2015 so compelling.
Okay, tell us about that.
Well, researchers found these hidden chambers. They were way down at the end of this long, long tunnel beneath the pyramid, about 338 feet long.
Wow.
And what they actually encountered inside has generated a lot of excitement in the archaeological community and beyond, really.
And by excitement, we mean finding a significant amount of liquid mercury, right? That's not your typical ancient pyramid stuff.
Precisely. Large quantities of liquid mercury. It's a really unusual find.
Cools up it.
Essentially, yes. And its reflective qualities, shiny like water or a polished mirror, that immediately brings to mind a really fundamental aspect of Mesoamerican belief.
Which is their deep reverence for water, correct? It wasn't just for drinking or farming.
Not at all.
It was seen as a crucial connection to the supernatural world, almost a cosmic medium.
Exactly that. So the core insight here, maybe, is that this wasn't just some shiny liquid they found. It potentially held incredibly deep spiritual meaning.
Like a gateway.
A gateway, potentially. Yeah. It's a powerful window into their beliefs. And this reverence helps us understand one of the leading theories.
Okay.
Sergio Gomez, he's the Mexican researcher who led these investigations. He proposed that these pools of mercury were actually intentionally created.
Intentionally for what?
As a symbolic portal, a gateway, like you said, to the underworld. Probably for ritual purposes, perhaps even for a ruler's symbolic journey into the afterlife. It's a potent image, isn't it?
A liquid mirror, reflecting not just our reality, but a spiritual one.
Yeah, I can see why this discovery has sparked so much renewed interest online. It's just inherently captivating.
It really is.
Yeah.
And the mercury wasn't the only unexpected material they found down there.
Oh, what else?
There were also these large sheets of mica.
Mica. Right, that shiny mineral. It's kind of layered. I think I've seen samples.
That's the one. And initially, the thinking was that these mica sheets were probably also just part of the ritualistic practices, decoration or symbolism.
Makes sense. Shiny things often are in rituals.
True. But while it could certainly have been used like that, its distinct physical properties have led to some more recent and quite different interpretations.
Oh, so?
Well, you see, mica is a silicate mineral, and it's known for its excellent insulating properties.
Insulating, meaning it doesn't conduct electricity or heat well.
Exactly. Poor conductor. Which, leads to some pretty interesting theories when you find it right alongside large amounts of mercury, which can be conductive.
And the crucial takeaway regarding the mica might be this. Beyond just potential decoration, its unique properties kind of force us to consider alternative, maybe even technical applications. It hints at a possibly more complex understanding of materials than we sometimes assume for ancient cultures.
Okay, let's connect these dots then. We've got this reflective liquid metal, mercury, potentially conductive, and then this insulating shiny mineral, mica. found together in these hidden chambers. This is where the ideas about like ancient energy or technology start to really surface, isn't it?
Precisely. The idea that maybe this combination suggests some form of ancient energy device. Now, it's a significant leap, obviously.
Right.
But the co-presence of these specific materials is certainly thought-provoking. And we do know that the ancient world wasn't totally unfamiliar with mercury.
Really?
Yeah, the discovery of liquid mercury in the tomb of the first Qin emperor in China, for instance, it offers a parallel, though its purpose there is also debated and unclear.
Okay.
So the use of mercury in ancient times wasn't entirely unique to Teotihuacan.
But the jump from they used mercury to an ancient power plant, that still feels like quite a leap. How might Mercury and Mica theoretically even contribute to something like that? What's the thinking?
Well, the line of reasoning, as I understand it, is that the conductive nature of mercury and the insulating properties of mica could, in theory, have been components. Maybe in a system designed to, I don't know, generate or direct an electromagnetic field. Possibly even for energy storage or channeling in some way.
Like layers, maybe, interacting?
Perhaps. Imagine layers of these materials interacting in ways we don't fully get yet. It definitely gets interesting here.
It really does. But, and this is important for everyone listening, right? There's no definitive evidence for this.
Absolutely critical point.
No ancient batteries lying around, no wiring diagrams.
Nothing like that. This is all interpretation based on the materials themselves and their context. There is no solid proof that Teotihuacan had, electric lights or anything remotely like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to keep that grounded.
Yes. It's vital to emphasize that let's call it the traditional interpretation of the pyramid as a ceremonial and religious center. That remains very strongly supported by a huge amount of other evidence.
Right. We absolutely can't overlook the symbolic aspects. I read about Annabeth Hedrick, an art history professor.
Her work's relevant here.
She highlights that mirrors, often made from materials like mica or obsidian, held deep significance in Mesoamerica. They weren't just for checking your reflection.
No, far from it.
They were seen as tools, right, for connecting with the supernatural, for divination, maybe glimpsing the future or other realms.
Precisely. So this raises the very plausible alternative. Could the mica simply have been used to create these special reflective surfaces for rituals that would align perfectly with their known spiritual beliefs?
So the mica could absolutely serve that symbolic, ritual purpose. Makes sense.
It does.
Now, here's another part of this that I found particularly striking. The mica itself. It wasn't locally available to the people at Teotihuacan.
That's right, a very important detail.
The closest known sources are apparently in Brazil, which is thousands of miles away.
Roughly 4,600 miles, give or take.
Wow, that distance is just staggering to think about in the ancient world.
It really is, and this poses a huge question for us. How did the Teotihuacans manage to acquire such large quantities of this material from so far away?
Did they have incredibly extensive trade networks we didn't fully appreciate?
Or perhaps a really sophisticated knowledge of distant resources and how to get them. It points to a level of interconnectedness or maybe exploration that we're still trying to fully wrap our heads around.
Yeah, that alone is pretty mind-bending. And it's not just the mica, is it? The mercury itself tells a similar story about their advanced abilities.
How so?
Well, you don't just find liquid mercury lying around in nature, do you?
No, you don't.
It has to be extracted
What's
from
wrong with-
cinnabar, right? That red mercury sulfide ore. And that involves a pretty complex heating process.
Exactly. That extraction process, heating the cinnabar just right, it is complex. And frankly, it's quite dangerous. Mercury fumes are highly toxic. And then there's the challenge of safely containing and transporting this liquid metal. The fact that the Teotihuacans were clearly able to do all this demonstrates a considerable degree of, technological and scientific knowledge for their time.
So even if it wasn't powering anything in a modern sense, their mastery of just producing and handling mercury alone is quite remarkable.
Absolutely remarkable.
But that possibility of some kind of mechanical device utilizing these materials together, that's still intriguing, isn't it?
It's a compelling notion, yeah.
The idea that mercury and mica could have been components in something we just haven't deciphered yet.
Right. The suggestion that they might have functioned somewhat like maybe like a capacitor, storing and directing energy in some fashion, even if not strictly electrical as we understand it. It's certainly thought-provoking.
And this is where some of the more fringe theories tend to gain momentum, I guess.
It is. This is where you start hearing the ancient astronaut theories cropping up again.
Ah, yes. They see these unusual, advanced-seeming materials like mercury and mica and immediately consider potential extraterrestrial technology, right?
Exactly. Things like electromagnetic devices, maybe propulsion systems, that kind of speculation.
Which definitely sparks the imagination.
It does, but again, it's really essential to reiterate for you listening, those ideas currently lack any concrete, verifiable evidence from the site.
Right. We have to be careful not to let speculation completely overshadow what we can actually demonstrate through the archaeological findings.
Precisely. Keep the evidence front and center.
So, after all this, we're kind of left with this persistent mystery, aren't we?
We really are.
Was the Temple of Quetzalcoatl primarily this deeply spiritual place, a gateway to the underworld, a ceremonial hub tied into their cosmology?
The traditional view, strongly supported.
Or could these specific unusual discoveries, the Mercury, the Mica from Brazil, could they hint at a level of technological sophistication, maybe involving materials science or even forms of energy that we're only just beginning to grasp?
It makes you wonder if there's a connection between these seemingly different interpretations that maybe we're still missing,
Yeah.
That's precisely the core of the matter, I think. The discoveries beneath the feathered serpent pyramid, they undeniably challenge our current understanding of the ancient world. These findings suggest a civilization with advanced knowledge and practices that definitely warrant much more investigation.
So as you've listened to this deep dive into the Temple of Quetzalcoatl, what has stood out to you the most? Was it the whole concept of a liquid mercury mirror to the underworld?
Or perhaps the surprising, though unproven, potential for ancient technology suggested by the Mercury and Mica.
Or maybe just the sheer scope of their knowledge, knowing about and sourcing materials like mica from Brazil, thousands of miles away.
Yeah, lots to chew on. And considering this evidence of really advanced practical knowledge, like how to extract mercury safely, how to get mica from Brazil, alongside their obviously profound spiritual beliefs, what does that tell us?
About the complexity of ancient civilizations, maybe. And the limitations of our modern tendency to try and separate the practical from the spiritual.
Exactly. It really makes you think about the interplay, the integration between those two realms in ancient cultures. It probably wasn't separate for them like it often is for us.
It certainly does make you think. The feathered serpent pyramid, it seems. It will continue to be a source of fascination and definitely fertile ground for future exploration and discovery.
No doubt about it. There's still
Comment
so
your
much more
thoughts
to
on
learn.
this discovery. Thanks.